influencing and VICI kind of grew up together. That's why I often will refer to VICI as an influential brand, it's in our DNA, similar to how it is for influencers to interact and sell on social media. We crave that connection from customers, and followers, just like an influencer would. And I think we're always looking for feedback, just like an influencer would.
You're listening to Retail Remix, your inside access to candid conversations with the people shaping retail's future. Here's your host, Alicia Esposito.
If you've listened to this show before, you know I love to geek out about the convergence of community and commerce. I mean, at a fundamental level, retail is all about that community connection. But it seems like in an effort to grow, scale, and maximize profits, some brands have lost their way. They've just focused on pushing messaging out, pushing products out, and relying on price and promotions to guide their way. But not brands like VICI. So VICI was founded on the principle that you can provide fashionable, on-trend items at a cost-effective price, but also tap into the power of community to ensure that the products and experiences you create are relevant, are meaningful, and are impactful. So today, I wanted to sit down with co-founder, chief merchandising officer, and chief marketing officer, Aimee Colorado, to really dig into the philosophy driving the VICI brand. And at the heart of it is really community and customer insight. Now, we hear so much about how brands are data-driven, are community-driven, are powered by insights, but it was truly enlightening to hear Aimee's perspective on this idea, and most of all, how it's being actualized across the business. Aimee, welcome to Retail Remix. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So to get started, why don't you share a little bit about VICI, the brand, your story, mainly just for those who may be unfamiliar with you and really the vibe that you're trying to create with VICI.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So we launched in 2012. And VICI is really more than just a fashion brand. We're a digitally native style concierge for the modern woman. And our focus has always been offering on-trend quality pieces at an affordable price point and making it easy for our customers to look and feel their best no matter the occasion. We really began with a simple mission. We wanted to build genuine connection between our brand and our customers. We've achieved this by engaging directly with our community on social media, at our stores, and always creating that open dialogue for feedback where it can just flow directly to the founders.
I love that. We've been covering this idea of community and commerce really coming together, and it seems like that's really the heart of what you've built here. So as co-founder, as well as chief merchandising and marketing officer, you're probably the person to ask this question. Like, how would you describe the VICI shopper and how they have evolved since your company's inception? Because there has been quite a bit of change within that time.
Yeah, absolutely. So our target customer is someone who loves the latest trends, but doesn't have the time to search for them. She needs a brand that can create stylish, ready-to-wear pieces and really curate it for her. She can feel confident and put together, and it doesn't take hours online to find this product or searching in stores. So our shoppers are really digitally savvy. They love to discover new brands. They like all of that at their fingertips, as you know, through social media, and they really value a seamless shopping experience. And I think that more than ever, to your point of things changing, they really appreciate brands that engage with their customers. So whether that's through personalization and emails, activations in store, online, feedback through polls and engagement, I think our girl really wants to hear from us, and she wants to also share her feedback. So that kind of two-way conversation is really important.
No, it makes total sense. And I think we'll get into a lot of the tactics and how that really comes to life across all of those channels, like you mentioned. But I do want to kind of go to your mission statement as a brand. So on VICI's LinkedIn page, accessibility is a really big talking point. By that, I mean you want to remove the obstacles that make stylish clothing unreachable for so many women, quote unquote. This was from your LinkedIn page. So I'm curious, how do you take this foundational mission and apply it to all of the work you do at a strategic level as well as a tactical level too, because we always talk so much about mission statements and philosophies for brands and how sometimes, even though those foundational messaging points are well-intentioned, sometimes the execution, there's a disconnect there. So can you comment on how you ensure that there's alignment always?
Yeah, I think for us, it's really about just making sure our customers can connect with us directly. I read comments on social media. I often will reply to DMs. I check in very frequently with our customer care team, make sure we're always listening to product feedback, marketing feedback, our daily drop strategy. Obviously, we have newness daily, and that's what our customer wants from us. So we're just looking to also react to what she's responding to, and we're always listening to her. So we let her lead in a lot of ways versus sometimes we're sort of leading, but it's a two-way conversation. And I've felt that since the very beginning. VICI is a brand that started on social media, which I feel like that's one of the differentiators for our brand. Nowadays, every brand is being forced to be a content creator. And maybe it's not central to their DNA. And for VICI, as a digitally native fashion brand that was selling exclusively online when we launched, this is very familiar territory for us. Our brand was built on influencer, built on organic social. So we're just naturally very social, and we invite and engage in that feedback consistently.
Yeah. And Instagram has been a really central platform for allowing those conversations and for that content amplification to happen, right? Or have you gone kind of across the board?
Yeah, definitely. Instagram is kind of number one for us, is that's where we started. Well, actually, we started on Facebook, but Instagram has been the main vehicle for communicating, for our daily drop strategy, for feedback from customers. But we've also ventured obviously into TikTok, which is becoming a more important channel for the brand, as well as having a YouTube, a Pinterest, a Snapchat, a LinkedIn. So we do maintain all of those platforms as well.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And especially I think a lot of these platforms are kind of taking cues from each other or creating their own versions of some of the content experiences. So being able to amplify and repurpose some of that content and embrace what's unique about all of them is really powerful. So how do you kind of tap into what's distinct about these platforms? And maybe we want to dig into Instagram specifically because it's so central to the brand. How do you kind of use these platforms to your advantage, especially as it relates to that community building and fostering those connections? Because for as long as I've been covering social media, there's always been that discussion of you can't just push, right? You can't just push the messaging and expect results. It really does have to be nurtured. It has to be authentic. And, I think that's already shining through, I think, in some of your responses thus far. But can you expand upon that community connection and how you're able to take advantage of it?
Yeah, I'd say we show up consistently. The biggest piece, and when people ask me about growing a following on social, it's funny because I often think of VICI as a very influential brand in terms of we were pioneers in that concept of social selling. But I often think that consistency is where brands either not being authentic enough and or not being consistent with that messaging. I agree you can't just push messaging, but you also have to remind her consistently that you're there to serve her, you're there to show her. And obviously for VICI, it's about new fashion and new drops, but we're there consistently showing up every single day, talking to her about what we think is important that day. These are the new looks for the day. These are the hottest trends. Here's how to mix and match things you already have in your closet. Here's some different people in this product that you might relate to. So I do feel like serving her different types of content and serving it consistently, measuring the performance of that content to see if it's resonating, and then always kind of having a read and react strategy and adjusting the content you serve her. But I do think consistency is one of the biggest ways to maximize your brand awareness and engagement across channels. I don't think without putting out content consistently, you're going to get enough learnings around what she's looking for from the brand. And then obviously testing. You need to try different types of content, whether that is following on the latest trends or just testing things that feel innately natural to your brand that you're curious of how they would perform. But testing and consistency, I'd say, are top of mind for continuing to maximize.
Yep. I love that. As a content person, definitely resonates and love that idea of consistency, but also taking those moments to test, push those creative limits and really see, what new avenues you can go down as far as, connecting to your customer and resonating with them. And I do want to dig a little bit deeper into the influencer side of all of this. So you've done some incredible work in this world of brand to influencer collaborations. And, we've seen some other releases, activations, even of brands trying to tap into the influencer community. But this seems really core to your brand and what it's all about. So can we backtrack a little bit, I guess? And, can you share a little bit of context, history into how you started in this space and possibly even how it has evolved?
Yeah, absolutely. So VICI started working with influencers. I think before they were called influencers, they were called bloggers at the time. But in like
the good old
2012,
days.
yeah, the good old days of bloggers. So fashion bloggers, when people used to actually go online and look and read blogs. So we also started at a time before there was a lot of platforms that allowed influencers to monetize. But in the beginning, it was really about finding people that were posting on social media that loved the brand and doing a lot of gifting that way and building authentic relationships where they were receiving free product and we were receiving cute outfit pics to post. And it was really as simple as that. And it grew over time. And I'd say for VICI, influencers are a core kind of foundational marketing strategy for the brand that happened at like that perfect time where it was getting started and evolving around the same time VICI was getting started and evolving. So influencing and VICI kind of grew up together. That's why I often will refer to VICI as an influential brand, is it's in our DNA, similar to how it is for influencers to interact and sell on social media. We crave that connection from customers, and followers, just like an influencer would. And I think we're always looking for feedback, just like an influencer would. And then because we've been doing this for 12 plus years, we've created some really amazing, authentic relationships with influencers where they know us well, we know them well, we're supporting them through milestones in their lives. They're reaching out and have direct connections with people at our company, but it just feels like a family. And I think that's what's really important within the influencer space. It's not like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. It's really finding people that resonate and represent your brand really well and supporting them as they grow in their endeavors as well.
I love that. I think one of the big learnings for me in covering the evolution of influencer marketing and then, creator economy, it's that sometimes, I think mostly nowadays, looking at the quality of the fit and the alignment, like you were referring to, versus numbers alone is kind of that sweet spot. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think looking at how the influencer, when you want to work with a new partner, how do they show up online? Read their comments, look at what they're putting out there. The most important thing, and I think what all people crave, is to trust someone. And the best influencers in my mind are the ones that share everything, regardless of if they're getting paid to do it. And they're doing it to be helpful because it's authentic to them, because they genuinely love a product. But I often will read comments to sort of discern, okay, is this person really trustworthy to their audience? Are their followers asking questions that would lead me to assume that this is someone that is a source of information in their community? So I think that that's really something that's important. In this day and age, everyone's all about aesthetics all the time. And aesthetics are one thing, but I think for those influencers that are really, I guess, the best ideal partners for our brand, they're really trusted. So to your point, when they go to comment on product quality, fit, their audience can trust that point of view.
Mm-hmm. Because once that trust is gone, that's a tough thing to reconcile and recover from, I feel like.
Yeah. And if you're too surface level too, that doesn't also allow too much trust, right? Mm-hmm. So it's you kind of have to let people in, but also make sure that you're coming across as your most authentic self.
Yeah. And it's interesting. You've mentioned how central consumer insight is and how you're always looking at what's being commented, what messages you're getting, what type of feedback is coming in through these channels. But based on how central the influencer and creator community is, I mean, that's another really strong vehicle for that consumer insight. You can kind of take that aggregated view, because sometimes what you see through your own tunnel vision as a brand, like within your own personal or branded channels, may be different or almost reaffirm some of the things that are happening within the creator conversations and that side. So I think that's really interesting. Like, as we think about the levers of community activation, like there are a few different ways that brands can get this incredible insight and use it to their advantage.
Yeah, you're right. 100%.
Yeah. So can we expand upon that a little bit? Because, we hear so much about how brands are trying to to be data-driven and community-driven. And again, kind of understanding that sometimes people may say those things, but when it comes to actually practicing what they preach, not always. It's clear that you guys do. You have like a process here. So how do you ensure that community insight is central to decision-making, either at marketing, merchandising, other areas? Because again, I think it's really powerful to dig into how we take an idea such as being community-driven or data-driven and actualizing that, like developing a process, workflow, or approach for ensuring that it is truly embedded into everything a business does.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that we are data first. So everything is about making sure we're testing and measuring results, that we're consistently reviewing performance and looking for opportunities, but not without the kind of qualitative pieces, and also regularly going above and beyond to ask for feedback from customers, whether that's through polls and surveys that we'll do, or just even within our VIP group we have on social media. So I just think you have to kind of marry those two things together. I never like to look at like one singular comment as like, this is everybody's truth, but I do think that there's value in consistently reviewing. I'll ask for them to send me customer emails. I'll look to see what the social media team is saying the sentiments are and the feedback is, and then sort of marrying that feedback with what I'm seeing in the data insights. But I do think that it is important to have both. Where brands go wrong is when all they're looking at is data and they don't have a brand point of view, or they don't have consistency to their message that's true to their brand, and they're just going to pivot every single time the data says something else. I think you have to be really careful, and it's a balance.
No, that's great. I think that's an important distinction to call out. Can you share any examples of how this approach to gathering and applying feedback has helped VICI adapt or evolve? I mean, this could be just like a small minor decision or something bigger and more strategic. Are there any examples that come to mind?
Yeah, I know it's, more future facing, but we are planning pop-ups for next year. And so we polled our top customers to see where the best places for VICI to go is. And that is informing the pop-up strategy for next year. And we've regularly polled our customers as well in terms of loyalty options, shipping options. So we directly take their feedback. And because VICI is a family-owned business, we can move pretty quickly with customer feedback. So I do really value what our top customers who've been with VICI for years and years, what they want to see and hear the brand doing next.
That's great. So since you mentioned what is next for the brand and how you're thinking about the future, are there any trends that you're seeing or hearing about from your customers now that you're excited to capitalize on? And this could be bigger things, or it could be even just what's trending in terms of fashion, and you're excited to capitalize on that from a merchandising perspective. I mean, anything come to mind right now?
Yeah, our vision right now and for the future is to just continue to evolve as a brand. We obviously want to keep pace with trends. We also set a lot of these trends, but we want to also stay true to our commitment to quality and to accessibility. From a growth perspective, we're definitely exploring other channels. We're going to diversify our markets. We're going to expand our partnerships, which is something our customers have loved from us when we do co-branded opportunities. So we'll continue that. And then obviously she misses our retail stores. Pre-COVID, we did have 3 stores. So this pop-up strategy for 2025 will be super important. We really want to meet her where she is. And I think our customers want to see and touch and feel and experience the brand in person. And we owe that to her. We're a brand that drops new product daily. And for someone that's new to the brand, I want them to come in and be immersed in that sort of VICI experience, have the styling, have the head to toe outfitting, see how easy it is to put together looks and how our assortments pieces complement one another. It's hard to convey that online. And I'm really excited to give that to her in real life.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And I think it really unlocks a new dimension for that community building. I mean, we've covered so much around, activations, events, even stores becoming these really incredible gathering spaces for people to come together. And it seems like, again, just the brand, what you're creating here, it's just really natural, nice alignment to that approach.
Definitely. I think what excites us too is the opportunity to bring VICI to people and service more customers. We're still a relatively small brand, even though we've been here for 12 years. And I think the best is yet to come for us. So existing markets, beyond that, I just feel like we want to infuse that personal touch and sort of the VICI innovation that defines our brand. I want to bring that to people in person.
No, it's so exciting. Can't wait to see and hear what happens in that world because, seeing brands come to life through physical spaces and environments is such an exciting thing. I do want to make sure we talk about marketing for a little bit, though. I mean, obviously, you guys are creating such great content. I mean, I love seeing the breakdowns of what's trending. Fashion, I think, just lends itself to so many great creative content opportunities. But I wanted to get your take on something that I've seen a lot of debate on recently, and that's this whole idea of marketing being a vehicle for memes. So I call this kind of like the meme-ification of marketing. Like anytime there's something trending or has gone viral, it's like you see this onslaught of brands trying to hop on it. And, top of mind right now, of course, is very demure, very mindful.
Oh my goodness. I just learned about that last week. I had I'm an elder millennial. So those things it took me like 10 minutes to figure out what that was.
I know. And it's just like the funniest thing to me is someone posted this. I think it was Jack Appleby. He's a very big social media guy. He shared a snapshot of all of the brand emails that came in within one day that had very demure and very mindful in the subject line. So I'm curious. I mean, how do you think about this whole concept, the meme-ification of marketing and the idea that to be relevant, we need to know what's trending and sometimes respond to what's trending. But has it kind of reached this point where it doesn't even have impact anymore because now everyone's doing it and everyone's trying to hack, so to speak, these trends?
Yeah, I agree with where you're going with that and what you're saying, because I do think when it's oversaturated to that point, it almost feels like where's the authenticity with any of the messaging? I think that it's good to participate in things that surprise and delight your community on social. If you think something that's trending is going to resonate with your community, I think it's a great idea to engage in that. But don't engage in everything that that is trending. And I think some of the messaging has to remain true to the brand and consistent so that you're not just coming off as being, one and done with every single message. So I think it's a balance. And I do think, though, there's a time and a place for it if it feels right and authentic for your brand. And then I would also just say that what I always remind myself and my teams is we're here to deliver trends, but those are fashion trends. So not always jumping on every saying or every meme like you're mentioning is necessary. It's really about serving her the fashion trends that she's looking for. Some of that other stuff can get really exhausting.
Yeah. Exhausting is a good word. I mean, keeping up with everything that is being amplified and reshared and created upon, right? When there's a sound trending or a clip trending, I mean, it's kind of like this pile-on effect, which is interesting to watch purely from a sociological perspective, but having to do that every time is a lot.
I agree. It is. I mean, it's one of my many to-dos to consistently try to understand sort of this next generation and how quickly things move. I'm always top of mind talking to team members and wanting to understand the different ways, to your point, that marketing messages cut through now. But I think that the messaging needs to always have substance. So I did have a hard time informing myself of the very demure piece. I watched it a couple times and was like, I wonder why this is resonating so much. So yeah, I agree with you. It's interesting to kind of unlock that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Awesome. Just wanted to get your take on this because sometimes I think that I'm conveying ideas through my own personal experiences and biases. So it's always good to get an external sample, so to speak. So thinking about the future, Aimee, I mean, you talked a little bit about pop-ups, kind of where the brand is going and thinking about in the future. Is there anything else like more short term? I mean, obviously everyone's thinking about holiday right now and like the immediate 2025 planning. So Q1 can really start with a bang. Anything that you're excited about? Anything we should keep our eyes open for?
I would say we're just continuing to tweak and refine everything and evolve. We had a really challenging year, as many D2C brands did in 2023, and 2024 has also been a bit of a challenge. So really, we've hit some strides and some momentum. So we're really just looking to continue to build on that. Our product is looking amazing. We're getting amazing feedback from clients on that. So that's been really, really exciting, and just really wanting to serve her the best of the best in terms of outfitting for all of her upcoming fall and holiday destinations and activities. So I think really just excited to continue to build on that momentum.
Amazing. And I know the retail industry, it always has its ups and downs, a lot of macro factors shaping consumer behaviors, their willingness to spend, especially on more discretionary items. And what it really comes down to, I think, is the lessons learned and the new ideas that people bring to market, and how that really unlocks innovation at an industry level and progress at an industry level. So I guess to close out, I would love your just more big picture take, your big picture reflections on how the business has grown, how it's evolved. Are there any big lessons or takeaways on your side that you would share, both as, the co-founder, like someone who has helped like really bring this idea to life, as well as, someone on the executive side as a practitioner? Any big lessons or takeaways you would share?
Yeah. I think the two major ones that these themes always come up for me, but to always keep evolving, not to be scared to grow and change and test different things. It can be scary because there's an unknown element to it. But if you're not growing and changing and evolving, the brand can get really stagnant. And I think it's okay for a brand to change and evolve over time. And I think it took me a while to be okay with that. And then listening to customers. We are a very customer-centric brand. And I want to make sure that we're always truly listening to our customers. We need to stay tuned into their feedback and their evolving needs. We need to be able to adapt quickly, refine our offerings, and then obviously in result, you'll build a stronger and more loyal community. But really just always engaging and inviting that constant dialogue that's going to keep us ahead and ensure we're delivering what our customers are looking for. And I know that helps foster an organic and authentic relationship with our community.
I love that, Aimee. Well, thanks so much again for taking the time out, for sharing a little bit about VICI, how you have evolved the business, how you have tapped into community, and of course, what's next. Thank you again so much for taking the time out.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
And to all of you listening, hope you enjoyed this conversation. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it through social. We are mainly on LinkedIn at Retail Touchpoints. We'll be sure to tag Aimee and VICI so we can keep that conversation going. We think it's very important. Share your thoughts, questions, experiences. And of course, if you like what you hear, be sure to leave us a rating or review on your preferred podcast player. We are on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, frankly, anywhere else. We're probably there too. So drop us a line, share your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe to the show. That way you get the latest and greatest content delivered right to your device. That's it for now, everyone. Thanks again. We will see you next time. Take care. Thanks for listening to this episode of Retail Remix. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find us on your favorite podcast player. Until next time, keep mixing it up.